Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So, Taurians, we are about to celebrate our next full moon, which is also super moon. And this full moon is known as the deer rutting moon by the Lakota and Dakota nationalities. And so, with that in mind, I'm kind of more inspired by that name. And of course, there's many names for all of our full moons. You can read up on those on the Old Farmer's Almanac. But that's the one that I was like, I like this. Let's go with that. So let's see specifically how this particular full moon may impact relationships, partnerships. We have a Two of Cups in the reverse, and we have a King of Cups upright. So first off, full moons are good at bringing things up from the subconscious. Also, it's a great time to purge and release things during a full moon. So we have a Seven of Wands in the reverse. I'm not going to say somebody's lowering their expectations, but Ace of Swords sideways. I almost think if there had ever been a storyline where it's like, well, why isn't this person more like my Two of Cups? It could be that we have Taurus saying, well, maybe they're not my Two of Cups. Maybe there's somebody that loves me, and that's not what I thought it was going to look like, but they love me, and it's a different version of what I thought love might be. We got an Ace of Swords that is sideways, Page of Pentacles in the reverse. I don't know that this person says and does everything that would be, like in the movies or anything, but we have Page of Wands upright. We have the Queen of Swords in the reverse. Either Taurus is contemplating other people's relationships, because I don't see Taurus anywhere in here, first off. So this could be more like an observational moment where, what Taurus is like contemplating or becoming more aware of during this full moon is that love doesn't always look like a Two of Cups relationship. Love is... it's not like a movie shows us it is. Love is maybe something where a person, does share their emotions and they tell us that they love us, but it isn't necessarily like this mind-bending, I can read their every breath and I can sense their presence when they're 3.5 feet away versus, a dozen miles away. I almost think that Taurus is like punching through the illusion of what love is supposed to look like, especially from the outside. And I'm wondering if it's because Taurus is noticing somebody else's life and love story is kind of garbage. And okay, that's super rude. I'm sorry I said it so bluntly. We have possibly a divine feminine over here that is very pissed off because things don't look photo perfect. And I wonder if Taurus is observing this and saying, wow, I'm seeing where an illusion is built around what love supposedly is. And if we buy into that illusion, why is somebody not like, salivating over me at all times? Why can't they, not keep their hands off me? Anything less than what the fantasy is really deeply disappointing. And even like our character feels super dejected. But I think Taurus is over here going, well, I'm seeing people operate this way. And I'm realizing, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm realizing that is so not what I want to set myself up for. I don't want fantasy fairy tale that is destined, of course, to leave us disappointed. King of Swords sideways. I think Taurus is saying a little bit more like, I want somewhere in between. I want love. And I also want something rational. I think there's no reason to set myself up for any kind of big disappointment like I'm kind of noticing other people doing to themselves. I want to be able to discern for myself what love looks like. Queen of Swords sideways also. Star upright, Seven of Cups, and the Death card. I really think Taurus is saying, I have recognized that without criticizing others, I don't want to have the, like wild flow of emotions that I see other people going through when they're setting themselves up for a fantasy that then becomes a disappointment. That's not how I want to look at love. That's not how I want to pursue love. None of that is what love is to me. And I realize that now. So I've changed my perception about what I think would be right for me. Yes, I have a wish, a dream, but I'm a little bit more open to what kind of person I think I could connect with. I'm a little bit more realistic that I'd like a partner that's mature. I'd like a partner where I can speak to them openly and honestly, where we, it's not like we're going to set ourselves up to be disappointed. Be like, well, no love story is really that great. So let me just go ahead and be realistic and be like, maybe I'll kind of like somebody. I don't think Taurus is saying that. That would be the far opposite end of the spectrum. I think if anything, Taurus just got way more realistic. I don't know whose relationship has become front and center that they are observing and going like, wow, this looks like a nightmare. Maybe it's like, Hollywood stars that, it's like, oh, wow, they're the darling couple. And then they get divorced and it's hideous and it's messy. And it's like, wow, all this time, it was like all the photos showed that, no two people have ever been closer. And then it's like, so wait, was it all a sham? Like I really thought they had it all and it turns out they don't. Or maybe this is just Taurus is intimately, like interwoven into, let's say this is a friend or a siblings, relationship that they are seeing the amount of unhappiness that a character is going through. And Taurus is really just reflecting during this full moon and saying, I understand why this friend or sibling or even movie star or somebody is possibly going through like a very ugly breakup. They could be very angry. They could be very hurt. They could be really lashing out. And it's because where was the dream? Why'd you tell me it was a dream and then it didn't amount to any of that? This is all bull. I didn't get any of the things I was promised. But I think Taurus has stepped back saying, wow, that is not the thing that I want to set myself up for. I have a dream of what a great love story would look like, but I think that's changed quite a bit. I think my opinion of what a great love looks like is not overly romanticized. It might be still deeply romantic and loving and satisfying, but it's not overly romanticized. Six of Pentacles. I think Taurus is saying, after watching other people's relationships implode, that first seemed so dreamy and then turned out to be a nightmare, to where they couldn't even enjoy each other or like each other at all. And I kind of think Taurus might say, honestly, the level of unhappiness sometimes people are feeling toward their partner when things go belly up, that might also be an unrealistic way to behave. I don't know. It's not that Taurus is being judgy over here. They're just learning by watching some of the things that they see other people going through and having gone through. And if anything, I think Taurus is just saying, yeah, I'm going to do things different. That everything I see here is just so not what I want to deal with. So I'm able to let go of this stuff and say, I'm glad that it's not mine, but what I would like in my relationship, I want Six of Pentacles. I'm thinking a relationship is built more on, two people that harmoniously like build together their stability, and we're going to have to give each other grace. And maybe it's not always going to be incredible romance and photos that are perfect, but it's going to be myself and a person enjoying each other's company, spending time together, doing even chores together. It's going to be more realistic and less romance fluffy and more about like even looking at a relationship as a partnership first and foremost. I want to be friends with my person. That's more important even than a romance. That's, I think, what Taurus is like recognizing from their subconscious right now. We do have this Eight of Swords. And I wonder if Taurus is like, man, it took me a while to see it this way. I had to see other people's relationships blow up before I understood that waiting for a particular fantasy romance was a waste of my own time, because look at all the people who have the fantasy romances and it's not real. But maybe looking at something much more realistic, partnership, friendship, maybe that is a better basis. We've got a Five of Swords. I do think that Taurus maybe at one point was stuck on thinking, you shouldn't ever have hot-blooded, arguments and such with if that's your partner. And I think Taurus is saying, actually, maybe that's par for course too. We have Libra Taurus right here for the Empress, and we have a Two of Cups. Taurus's Two of Cups love story doesn't look anything like everybody else's in the world looks like. I think Taurus is realizing that even in the best of relationships, we can get really upset with each other, really angry at each other, say things we don't mean, and have to beg forgiveness. Even in the best of relationships, that can happen. I mean, ideally, we would never lose our temper. Ideally, we would never have a meltdown. Ideally, but it's going to probably happen. And the more time we're with somebody, especially if they're our partner that we're picking for all of our days and all of our nights, the likelihood of us seeing them at their very worst, absolutely, we're probably going to see them sometimes be snippy with us, say something that's hurtful, get into a petty argument that's probably stupid, but neither person wants to give because ego gets involved. I almost think Taurus is like, I don't know if this makes Taurus think about someone that they already know. And they're going, you know what? Maybe I'm allowed to love whoever it is that I really feel connected to, even if we've had some serious bumps in the road. Because if at the baseline, I still like the essence of that person, maybe a Two of Cups shouldn't be overly romanticized. Maybe a Two of Cups is when you say, I really like this person. Not every day, because man, some days, whew, they got a chip on their shoulder and we're going to argue, and, you know, it's going to be hard to forgive each other too. But on the other hand, if the baseline is I think they're a good person who cares about me and I care about them. We're not setting out to hurt each other, but we are flawed and we make mistakes and we do create fights with each other. That doesn't mean that they're not my Two of Cups. In fact, maybe that's what indicates they are my Two of Cups, because I still want to be around them. And they're not toxic, they're just human. And I'm not toxic, I'm just human. It almost feels like Taurus is having this like mind-blowing mindset shift about what partnership looks like for them. As they've watched other people's fantasy fairy tales go up in smoke, Taurus is actually getting more grounded, saying, maybe the thing is, there is no such thing as fantasy fairy tale, but if you've met somebody that you love and they love you, and for the most part, you treat each other well and you show love, but sometimes you still have those big old problems, but that's still the person that you'd want to go through it with and patch it back up with, and maybe that's it. That's what the Two of Cups is, at least for this Taurus. Let me ask, during this full moon, if Taurus is like really contemplating the difference between, you know, what does a fantasy perfect relationship look like versus what does a realistic love story look like? It makes me think Taurus already has somebody on their mind. Three of Pentacles and the Magician. I definitely think that there's somebody Taurus actually is recognizing, I still want this person, or I still want to work with this particular individual. I think Taurus is like, they're coming to a conclusion that their love story, their life story with somebody, it may not look perfect to the outside world. They may have had ups and downs. They may have broken up with this person, but the more they think about it, they're like, honestly, some of the crap I see other people doing to each other, me and my person never did that to each other. Maybe I have less to forgive than some other people do with their partners. Maybe I'm actually, I don't know. This almost feels like Taurus is changing their mind about somebody. Okay, on the other person's side, we've got a Nine of Swords and the Devil. So I want to know who this person is that Taurus is thinking about, right? They could be a Capricorn. All I can say is I don't know if they have been big mad and really stressed after being big mad. Did they have a fight with Taurus? This is looking like Taurus had a fight with somebody. Yeah. Five of Wands, Five of Pentacles. Holy smokes. Okay, so there was definitely big conflict between Taurus and whomever this person was. This looks very, I don't know, just very, I think it's a combo of their behavior, even by their own rights. Got Ace of Wands, we got Nine of Pentacles. There's somebody who's nuts about Taurus, super passionate about Taurus. They know Taurus is fine without them too, and that kind of is killing them. They had a big old fight with Taurus. I do feel like there was a better battle of wills between Taurus and another person. We're going to say masculine just because that's what we got. And oh God, that song, I Miss You. Is it, I mix up my soul singers sometimes because when I go on a soul kick, I listen to all of them all at once and I love all of them. But I want to say it's the Manhattans, but I might be wrong. It might be Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Now I'm thinking it's Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Anyway, I miss you. I'm sitting here and I'm crying. I'm sitting here with my head in my hand because every day since you've gone away, oh God, it's a great song. Oh, how I yearn. This song depicts everything that they're going through right now. They had a fight. They had an argument. Taurus is obviously out of their life after that argument, and they're sitting here during this full moon mulling over, like none of their passion for Taurus has dissipated at all. And they're sitting here mulling over this breakup, mulling over, like, I think they just wish that Taurus was like still right there in their bed. And then they could, I'm so sorry. I know I was an ogre. I'm so sorry. It feels like Taurus isn't there in their bed though. It feels like Taurus walked away from them. This feels like two people had a big old fight. That's what this storyline is finally emerging as. But interestingly enough, Taurus has recently watched other people have a big old fight and they've compared and contrasted. And they're like, honestly, the thing that I had going on with my person, even in our fights, I'm not so mad at them anymore. But this person Taurus fought with, this lover, they're going through hell right now without Taurus during this full moon is what it says. They still desperately want Taurus. If they could give Taurus red roses and kisses and make it all better, they would. But right now, they're under the impression this was the moment I lost Taurus. Taurus walked away from me. Taurus doesn't need me. They don't need me and my attitude. They don't need me and my bad temper, even though I'd give anything to like rub Taurus's feet and tell him I'm sorry. But we've got the 7 of Swords and we got the 10 of Cups. They keep seeing Taurus as like single. They might even be trying to tell themselves, you know what, Taurus was probably never going to stay with me. And maybe they knew it for a while. Maybe they were just tolerating me, but really Taurus was always going to leave and go and be happy without me because Taurus doesn't need me. They've seemed very down in the dumps right now. This full moon is hitting them very hard is what it says. Whoever this is who feels like they lost Taurus, holy smokes. 4 of Cups, they lost their mermaid. All of this says the only one disappointed is them, and they're convinced Taurus doesn't want them back. I don't see them reaching out and trying to fix things with Taurus. I actually think it's Taurus who's left the situation and is thinking about it going, you know what? Honestly, just because we had a fight doesn't mean I never want to talk to them again. Honestly, I may still want to hash stuff out and work things out with them. No, they're not perfect. I'm not perfect, but I know we're better people than some of the other fighters I've been seeing. It almost seems like Taurus has gained a different perspective. We have a Page of Cups. We have the 4 of Cups in the reverse. I definitely feel like Taurus might reach out to them. I don't know if it's going to take about 4 days or something, but Taurus might reach out to them and say, so are you sorry that we had the fight? Are you as sorry about this as I am? Because, man, this isn't the way I want to do things. And this might open the door to them and be like, oh, my God, you have no idea. How many flowers can I buy you? Like, I don't think this is somebody who's like, look, I never tell stories about abusive people. Just because somebody has a bad attitude sometimes and can be a jerk, that's not the same as abuse. Abuse is when somebody intentionally wants to cause another person harm. And I don't tell stories about characters like that because we don't deal with those characters. We draw a line around them and they stay outside of the fence. They can't be in the stories because we don't go back to abusers ever. Not in my stories. This story is more about just human frailty, people with attitude, people that sometimes don't say the nicest of things and then feel like an absolute like embarrassment. Like, why did I act like that? And this story is about Taurus saying, if I truly believe that they're a good person and they didn't try to harm me, and in truth, there's a lot of things that I would want to work through problems with them. We're not always going to be our best, but I still care about them and they're still the one I want to deal with, even in their worst moments, even my worst moments. I don't think I want to walk away from this because I know they're not out to hurt me, even if sometimes we say things that are harsh. That's what this looks like. That's what the full moon is bringing up. Like, I want to reconcile. And God, this person's going to be so, so grateful for this. All right, I'm going to leave this one here. That is what we got here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for a thumbs up.